You know, the first time I heard someone say that we are gods, I think it was Brand Nubians, or it might have been like it might have been PRT, the rap group PRT, Poor Righteous Teachers. But I remember right after I heard that, not too long after I heard that, shortly after, I met people from all over who showed me that the idea or this concept that we are gods, it came from the Bible. And I think if I can think of it specifically, it was John 10, um, where Jesus, I think he quotes, there's a scripture out of Psalms, I think it's Psalms 82, where he says, okay, well, you know, you are gods, all right? Or ye are gods, or something like that. Or doesn't it, I think he's asking a question, and doesn't it state that ye are gods, or something like that, okay? But other than that, I never really heard anyone actually, beyond the scripture, explain to me what it means to be a god or goddess. I mean, when I got into Kemetic spirituality, people would say that we are gods and goddesses. In fact, when I started to identify with Osir, who is, you know, Osiris in Greek, as my higher self, I somewhat started seeing how being a god or goddess relates to having knowledge of self. But I still didn't have a clear understanding what it meant to be a god or goddess until I read um, Death and the Invisible Power, The World of the Kongo Belief by Simon Baki. Now, in this book, okay, in this book by Simon Baki, on page, I think it's 132, 133, something like that, um, he basically states that according to Kongo belief, God created man and woman to be his surrogate, but human beings failed. Um, However, you know, eventually what ended up happening was that man and woman basically, they strived to become an ancestor, and in becoming an ancestor, we became gods and goddesses. Okay? So, in other words, when we become an ancestor, we become what God originally created us to be. Okay? According to a Kongo belief. All right? Now, what this means is that when we learn how to manifest change and co-create our reality, we're developing our God-given talents. So that when we transition, we take this knowledge with us, and since we're no longer restricted by this physical form, we can be surrogates for God. Because now what happens is that when our descendants, when they go ahead and they call upon us for help, God basically answers, you know, our living descendants answers their prayers through us, which is basically the same way in which our people go ahead and they work the saints in the Caribbean. Okay? Now, I'm hoping a light bulb is coming on, because this is the reason, if you study Kemetic spirituality and you study this is the reason Osir functions in the Kemetic lore as a god and an ancestor for Heru. Okay? And that's what people keep getting, you know, that's why people get, I don't want to say confused, but that's why people go back and forth on, you know, is Osir this or is Osir this? And, you know, that's the reason why I say, from my perspective, it's an ancestral spirit, you know, a deified ancestral spirit. Osir is a deified ancestral spirit. Okay? Now, don't get confused about the wording. To be a god or goddess really means to be a living saint. And I'm not talking, this is not wordplay. If you read about the Catholic saints, you will learn that many of them were real living people who actually performed miracles. And this is why, when they were later canonized, they were venerated as a saint. Okay? Now, again, don't get it twisted. Remember, Roman Catholicism, they took it took a whole lot of the Kemetic, you know, our Kemetic ancestors' relics in science, and syncretized it with Christianity and demonized anything that wasn't of, you know, of us in Christianity. Okay, so that's another story. I'm not going to even go there. But basically, what I'm saying is that the process of becoming a god or goddess is basically about becoming a living saint, or what we call a living ancestor. Hence, Osir.